Day 3 of the Dakar sees the competitors on African soil for the first time. 200-kilometre liaison takes them from the boat to the start of the 250-kilometre special. Then there's another 200-kilometre road trip to reach the bivouac at El Rachidia. Finally, the Ormalash Dakar reaches Africa. After the Portuguese stages, a chance for the real Dakar fever to begin. First test on African soil. For Cyril Desprez, this rally is turning into something of a nightmare though. He almost ran out of fuel on stage 1. He crashed on stage 2 when a spectator jumped out in front of him. And he'll have been hoping for better fortunes on stage 3. Cold morning air, high above sea level, everybody was feeling the nerves. Problem for Portuguese Helder Rodriguez. The rally leader had crimped cables jamming his throttle and his speedo. Hasty roadside repairs with plenty of help on offer. In the end, he did get going. He finished the special in 23rd place, losing 23 minutes and 23 seconds to the leader. Things could have gone a lot better for Cyril Desprez. In addition to losing over 20 minutes on today's special stage, when his gearbox failed, leaving him towards the end of the test with just first gear. He then had to ride the 192-kilometre liaison section at just 60 kilometres an hour. He made it back to the bivouac, but he'll start tomorrow in 16th position, 26 minutes adrift. Will the man who declared before the start that he was only interested in winning and second would mean nothing, still be able to maintain motivation with all the tough stages of this week stretching out in front of him? Helder Rodriguez, despite his early morning worries, did get going. The man who led the rally into Africa was certainly determined that his 450 Yamaha would stay as close to the front of the field as possible. But in this going, he's finding himself outpowered and outrun. And just possibly out-navigated too. Winner of the first stage of this year's Dakar, Portuguese Ruben Faria, exited today. Terminal engine failure on his Yamaha. He lay second overall as they rolled off the ferry this morning, but he didn't even complete a single African stage. His 2000 adventure ends with a long, slow drive back to the bivouac on the sweeper truck. In stark contrast to those with troubles, last year's winner showed his intent again today, clocking the fastest time on stage 3. Now that the rally's reached Africa, the gloves are off. The expected front runners have overhauled the Portuguese duo who led after the first 2 specials. Now it's going to be all about catching coma. Young American Chris Blaze set the early pace on today's stage, heading the field at the first passage control after an hour's African racing. In the end, Coma pulled out less than a minute over him, but a second place finish today puts Blaze into 5th overall from 18th as he came to Africa. Just goes to show how little real ground was lost with his cautious approach to yesterday's stage. Isidore Estreve finished today's stage in third position, a shade less than 3 minutes behind Mark Coma. As he expected, the Portuguese stars of the last 2 days fared less well on the first long test, and the Spaniard has now climbed into the overall lead of the event. Fourth behind teammate Esteve on yesterday's stage, and again the same for David Castor today, perfectly playing the role of water carrier, tailing the Spaniard all the way, finishing just 30 seconds slower after 250 kilometres. After a cautious approach to yesterday's mountainous stage, American rider Jonas Street raced through today's special, fifth fastest, his best result on this year's event to date. He started his African adventure in 7th place this morning. By the time he reached the bivouac, he'd moved up to 6th. 35-year-old Alain Duclos from Mali posted his best ever result on the Dakar last year in 13th. Riding with a new knee after surgery to correct a long-standing injury this year, he seems to have had a new lease of life. 6th on the first African stage. 26-year-old Spaniard Jordi Villadoms is acting as water carrier for Giovanni Sala, but today he was much quicker than his teammate. He was 7th. Third different stage, third different winner in the motorcycles. Comar heads the front of the field though. Isidore Estreve losing just under 3 minutes to him on the stage, and that means that he is now our overall rally leader.
Do you watch for the live events to be part of the live crowd right till the end?
Very happy with this first Moroccan special stage, said Mark Coma. Navigation was important today and I managed to keep a good pace. Dangerous special though, because the tracks were really washed out because of the rain that hit Morocco this year. It was very difficult, especially at the end of the test. It's just the very beginning of the rally, of course, but it's better to start well than to start badly.
Mejor que vaya bien que no mal, ¿no? Pero no quiere decir nada esto. Al principio era un poco difícil de
navegación. Estreve said the first 60 or 70 kilometers of navigation was very difficult. You really had to pay attention to the roadbook. There was a lot of information, and if you missed just one mark, it was extremely easy to get lost. Anyway, lost a little time at the beginning, but afterwards I managed to keep up a good pace. Not bad for a first difficult day in Africa, and tomorrow he reckons is going to be more difficult.
L'état d'esprit maintenant.
How do I feel, says Cyril Dupre? Well, so-so. Happy I managed to reach the finish line, even though I've still got a ride to the bivouac. And I'm still in the battle. I'm not going home just because I've had a mechanical failure. After all, this is a mechanical sport. I know you can have these kind of problems, even if it doesn't often happen, because I always take care of the bike. Today, something was just missing, but I don't know what.